Secretary Rubio, good to have you up here. I just returned from India, had a chance to visit with leadership there, as well as spend time with our new ambassador, Sergio Gore. He's off to a great start, and very profitable visit. Hope to debrief in it soon, if I might. By the way, I think if we were to pick an MVP of the West Wing, Secretary Rubio, my vote's for Marco Rubio. So
we have a lot of MVPs, don't we?
Yeah, I know you do. But we get a vote on one. I think you've done a great job with this first year. Very proud to claim my former colleague and now our Secretary of State. Secretary Rubio, as you've noted, there are numerous reasons and good reasons why the U.S. is the arbiter of Venezuelan petroleum sales. With the new export sales framework, the Venezuelan government is now looking to other options to reimburse some of our adversaries, Iran, Russia, as well as Iran's proxies, to include petroleum byproducts, which contain valuable minerals and so forth, flexicoke. Has the administration considered expanding the export controls to additional petroleum byproducts?
Well, I'm sure we would, except that I can tell you a couple things that are happening. They have, in essence, represented to us, and we have seen in action in the work that they're doing directly with Secretary Wright, who's handling this portfolio on a daily basis. He has a deep historic and career knowledge of this field, is that on all of these things regarding natural resources, their preference and their partner of choice moving forward will be the United States and Western companies. That's what they intend to do. As a point of example, and I said this earlier in the hearing, you may not have been here, today they used to get 100% of their diluent. They have very heavy crude, and so it has to be mixed with light crude in order to make it, refinable and movable. And they were getting 100% of it from Russia, primarily because of sanctions. They prefer to have ours. Why? Number one, it's closer. Number two, it's higher quality. Today, 100% of that diluent is coming from the United States. They were involved in a very complex gold market in which they were mining for gold and silver, and it was being exported almost entirely through Turkey. And we believe the Iranians were using that as a laundering operation for themselves ultimately as well, potentially. And certainly know that they had an interest in the oil industry as well. We are on the verge of a process in which that will be sold through U.S. markets in a legitimate way that won't go to finance and support. I think we'd like to apply that model to various things. But the end goal in all of this is, number one, not to spend any American money, and number two, for Venezuela to have a normal, legitimate economy that's not benefiting cronies, that's not benefiting corruption, and is not benefiting our geopolitical adversaries. So far, the interim authorities have expressed a desire to cooperate with us on all of these fronts. You identify an area you want to work with, they say yes, and we're making progress on all of it. We've faced no impediments to date in regards to expanding that relationship.
Yeah, thanks, Secretary Rubio, thank you. And maybe we'll talk with Secretary Wright. We think there may be some workarounds in terms of what's happening there with some of these petroleum byproducts, what's called flexicoke, has vanadium in it, and something we could talk with Secretary Wright, which absolutely would be something they're trading right now to our adversaries like Iran, Iranian proxies, as well as the Russians. But thank you, and we're off to a great start, as you say. We're playing a long game here, and you're playing it very, very well. I want to pivot now to EU energy. I chair the subcommittee here in this committee for Europe. Next, we're going to have a hearing. We're looking about having a conversation on EU regulations that are hindering energy security, that's benefiting now, of course, the Russians and hindering the development of alternative supply chains. Mr. Secretary, here's my question. As Russia continues its war in Ukraine, how important is it for Europe to develop a pro-energy posture to ensure they have energy security?
Well, I would argue that one of the reasons why we have a war in Ukraine is because Russia thought they could get away with it because of how dependent Europe was on them for energy. And they felt there's no way the Europeans are going to come hard at us because they're too dependent on us for energy. So I think most certainly it served as a contributing factor to the war happening, among others, obviously. The second point is the point the President's repeatedly made. We love Europe. We want Europe to be strong. We share a lot of common bonds, both through history and culture and also through our alliances. And part of our concerns is that Europe is becoming increasingly vulnerable when it comes to their energy supplies. Increasingly vulnerable both for domestic economic growth, which will allow them to sustain investments in defense and be more reliable partners, but also vulnerable to Russian oil and other things of this nature. So we are concerned, though it's not our decision to make, we are concerned that EU policies in general are leaving Europe more vulnerable at a time when they should be getting stronger in their ability to resist pressure from both Russia and China.
Secretary, thank you. And we hope to have that discussion next week at the subcommittee level. Last question is back to one of my favorite topics, back to Central Asia. We had a great dinner at the White House with the 5 Central Asian presidents that you were at, President Trump, as well as Vice President Vance. I had an honor to be there with you all. They're making a major shift right now in terms of having a closer diplomatic and economic relations with the United States. That all fits in part of the geopolitical puzzle, which relates to energy supply as well. Here's my question. How important is it that we end these Jackson-Vanik trade restrictions as it relates to our relationship with Central Asia? And for background here, Senator Murphy and I are co-sponsors of that bill. We hope to actually get this done and on the president's desk. It's an ancient Soviet-era restriction that is not relevant at all, but frankly is hindering our relationship with these important Central Asian.
Yeah, no, we agree. We agree, and that, like I said, one of these areas that you've been focused on for a long time, Ambassador Gore, that as you know is in India, is also an envoy to these three countries, just came back from Tajikistan a couple days ago. So I think that absolutely we would like to see that because it would allow us to do even more.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Chairman.